All right, let's talk about this. So, I saw a poster come out, as you can see on the screen. They're talking about the trials for the under 16, under 18, U21, U23, 3x3, and senior team, both male and female. So, they have put up a poster. Do you have what it takes to be part of the Kenya national team? So, this is a very good initiative. Don't get me wrong. I support it 100%. But one thing that it rubs me the wrong way is the fact that the team's already decided. We know how the national team selections happen. I've covered a lot of national team games for quite some time now, and I've seen a pattern. There are those players that just stay in there. Doesn't matter how many players show up for the trials. It doesn't matter. There will always be those players that will always be on that squad, regardless of whether they go to the trials or not. I even made a post that or I put on my Instagram. Check out NBA Kenya. I just said, let these people not lie to you, because they will come out and say that, we are just bringing up these trials. We're just, trying to get some more athletes on the squad. But we can see through their BS. We can see what they're trying to do. There are players who play for the national team, and they have been doing so for quite some time now. And it is like the Kenya Basketball Federation have been treating the national teams like clubs. And I even raised this when the team was being selected to go to the AfroCan in Angola. I knew for a fact that there were players who were being put on that list, and some of them were not contacted, some of them were contacted, and that was on the national team 5x5. And when I saw that, I saw a couple of, they did some good things. They tried to, bring in those players that have had like a have notable performances in the Kenya Basketball Federation League, the Kenya National Basketball League. But you can see there are also players that play from abroad. They were put there, and there was a miscommunication on that part, because some players came out and said that they were not alerted. It didn't come out directly, but some of them were not alerted, and some even didn't show up to camp. But we had some of the run-of-the-mill faces that we saw, the usual suspects. We already saw them, and when I saw that situation, why I asked myself a question: why should anybody bother to go for a trial to play in the national team when you know that there are people who are already selected to be there? Take the case of the 3x3. We have never been informed the criteria of the players that play for 3x3, which somewhat rubs me the wrong way. I know our ladies have been playing very well. They have won significantly, quite more than the men. The men have really, really struggled, and skill wise, you can say they have been outplayed in every single game. Even when you look at even if you look at the outcome of the performances which you have seen, we saw them in the Algeria Nations League, saw them in the Hammamet games this year, we saw them in Poland. It was atrocious. The only team that won a single game in the Poland games was the women's team, and they won in a game within the game. They won a game that they actually played. Kenya only won in the Poland 3x3 just due to the fact of technicality. Tunisia wasn't there, so we won with the technicality. So, and if you look at even the national team performances on the men and women on this channel, if you've been following it for quite some time now, you'll know that I'm all about equality. So I cover all the national team activities, both the men and the women. And on the women, they played in Zone 5 early in February. As the year started, I remember covering them. I made a couple of videos just talking about their performances, and they were not the greatest. And they were not the greatest when it mattered. They played well, but they were not the greatest. They had so many flaws. There was, even the team selection there was kind of botched. The thing that amazed me was there was no much attention on the women's campaign as the men's, because there's that anticipation to see like what the men can do. But also they did their thing. They finished number 3, and the game that was very important was the Egyptian game, which I talked in depth in that video. Please be sure go check it out. And even on the men's team, you could see the inactivity of the men's team. We have been we've been blessed to have all these events going in our favor. I don't think we've had an East African country participate in majority of the events, like both 3x3, 5x5, all of them, like the way Kenya has in this year. I feel like Kenya is a blessed country, but one thing I feel, we are wasting a lot of opportunities. I don't see South Sudan get a lot of opportunities like this. I don't see Uganda get a lot of opportunities to play in the Nations League, to play in the Hammamet games, to play in the Polish games. I didn't see a lot of those countries, but we had Kenya being there. And Kenya is always active. And the problem that I have is we keep wasting these opportunities and not taking athletes that can get the job done. I'm not saying that the athletes that we take can't get the job done, but that slot is open to any Kenyan who is a basketball player and even plays for Kenya, is eligible to be in that squad. It's not just these players that can win it for us. There are so many players that can be able to suit up and play for Kenya. So my problem is, these trials are just like a PR stunt that they use just to show that they had public participation. They try to show that a lot of there's a lot of equality in there, but the reality is the list has already been determined. There are people who are always going to go for 3x3. There are people who are always going to be in that list for 5x5 without question, and they should not be then we should not be lied to that, oh, this player can be able to get there. Who do you think? They ask you like those funny questions, that do you have what it takes to be in the Kenya national team? Of course we have athletes who can be able to play there. Kenya has an overabundance of athletes that can play there. It all comes down to the quality of athletes we have, even the equality of opportunity. You're seeing players who keep failing time and time and time again, being offered the same opportunities. I don't want to mention names, but honestly, there are players that are straight garbage when they come to play those games, and when it matters they can't deliver. And you find Team Kenya is always insisting to carry these athletes there every single time, knowing the outcome of what is going to happen. We have seen this year alone on this channel, we have covered so many games, both 3x3 and 5x5, and not to mention, like, we have had athletes who have been given opportunities time and time and time again to play and show up, and yet they wet the bed every single time. And the decisions the coaching staff, the team managers make is questionable, and accountability needs to be there. And I feel like there should be an audit of the players, because we keep putting the same players there and they don't even deliver on anything. And one thing is for sure, as much as they try to do that, we already know the list is there. We already know who is gonna go. We already know whose passport the visa is gonna be put on. We already know who's gonna be on that traveling list. So there's no need. So even my advice to the players who are ambitious and they want to be in this type of situation, I'll be like, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time, because you'll go there, they'll take you for a ride. If you don't have any connections in there and any networks in there, you're not gonna go far. So if you're gonna go there, you have to play your cards right. Like, you have to ball out on the court. You have to know one or two coaches. You have to know like the federation officials. You have to know them so that you can you have to sweet talk yourself in there. So majority of the time it's not even about even you being a good player. It's about like you going in there and just selling yourself there. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it can't. But the people who are going to go to that route of trying to be on that national team, just know you have to talk to so many people. I don't know if there's corruption. I don't know if there's an outright corruption in there, but I feel like there is. I know all the federation officials are compromised. I'm not saying that I don't know if there's corruption in there, but I feel like if you're not part of the cabal or mafia that is inside there, you're not going to have a fair shake. There are people who are going to go there and just have even one single game, and just because like they know the other federation officials, they're just gonna be there. So these are things that really rub me off the wrong way. I just said I thought about making this video, but I was like, you know what, let me just give my raw thoughts and opinions on what I see, and hopefully you can be able to like get a glimpse of my take on this situation, because I know they're trying their very best to cover up their mistakes and mess ups. So they're trying, KBF are really desperately trying to cover up their mistakes, but in the process they end up looking like outright liars. So any player, I don't get tired saying this, any player that's gonna go that route of trying to go there, just know it's unfair. You can be cut anytime, and before even you go to any trials, just ask the people who are already on the team how they got there. Majority of the time it's not even about like their production on the court, it's just about how they can be able to speak to these people and corrupt their way in there. So just make sure you talk to them, talk to the athletes that are already made the national team and made the cut and traveled before you go in there. If you try to go flying blind, you're gonna miss that opportunity. So this just goes for every single track that you're going into, both male and female, all 3x3 and 5x5. We've covered a lot of 3x3 and 5x5. I'm not sure if Team Kenya or even the Kenya Basketball Federation have the facilities to even put together like U16, U18, U21, U23. I know they're just going to write it there just to like try to show that there's opportunity, but we already know it's only 3x3 and 5x5. The men's team and women's team is a sure lock. There are players already locked in there. It's a club right now. Even 3x3, it's just locked in there. The players don't change. They're only just going to like out of even a possible like thousands of athletes that are trying to like get in there, majority of the time you'll see like they only need like one or two, and most likely you can even take only one. So I'm not saying that because I've been there or in there, but all I'm saying is corruption is there. So be prepared to be frustrated. Just make sure that you don't put your hopes up too much that you're going to go in there. You're just going to have a root shock. So yeah, I thought about making this video. I just said let me just give my 2 cents on it, because I mean it's quite puzzling how things occur like that. So yeah, man, if you guys like the video, make sure you leave your feedback down in the comments on what you think, and I'm out. Peace.